what's going on, friends, family? My name is Skylent. Welcome to the channel. We talk about games. Get a little nerdy here, get a little geeky, take things a little too seriously, and that's what we're doing today. I am actually going to announce a future video coming up, so I'm going to make some polls on YouTube, but also let me know in the comments below, which games do I need to play for this concept? The best music in MMO. Because I actually think that music in MMO is designed incredibly uniquely. I think there is something special about it, and at the same time, and the reason why I'm making this video, I have a feeling that a lot of music is actually kind of bad, just based on me playing in general. So when I listen to the soundtracks, I'm just going to listen to them as they are. But while playing a lot of these games, when you hear a good song in an MMO, it fucking slaps, right? Like, it's so good. But in general, when I'm just kind of leveling in a lot of these different games, dudes, it kind of sounds awful. I think it's really bad a lot of the time, and I do want to kind of rant about that. But yeah, so when it's really good, and when games in general have just like a big focus on good music, I do want to celebrate that. So coming up, yes, top 10 best MMO music. It's going to take, I think, like 500 hours to actually listen to like 20 MMOs whole soundtracks or something. So if you would, give me some love, let me know which ones I should actually be focusing on, and which ones you think are actually best. But I do kind of just want to make a rant video as well. So let's go ahead and do this. Yeah, MMO music kind of sucks, and there's going to be a couple of reasons for this. So whenever you actually design music for a video game, which is something that I've actually done before, I did go to school for video game design, but before that, I actually made music for games and like a documentary one time, and I produce electronic music to help me fall asleep at night because I have insomnia. I'm one of those guys who literally sleep with their guitars because it just helps me sleep. I like that. I literally, this is how much I love music, and I'm like emo and weird. I write love songs to myself. I pitch it up so it sounds like a girl is singing to me, and then I listen to that to fall asleep. So that's me. I love music. Like, it's like a thing for me. But man, I'll play games like Doom, right? Holy shit, Doom soundtrack. It made me cry. I've played games where the music itself alone has made me cry. Just because, holy shit, the engineering is so good. Holy shit, this is so unique. I've never heard these sounds before. Holy shit, and especially, of course, if you're playing the game, right, like Mega Man or something like that, it just puts you in a vibe, and it just matches the game. It fuels, you know, the energy, everything. It's just, oh my god. And yeah, obviously, I'm going to skip things like Rock Band or games that are literally music games. That's not what I'm talking about. Today, we are talking about background music. And especially, I think the game that really is the shining, brimming example for me and why I started making electronic music and what inspired my type of sound is actually Donkey Kong Country, which as soon as I said that, I know a lot of you guys instantly hit the thumbs up because you're like, yep, he's a man of culture. But then again, like, dude, we all know that slaps. Donkey Kong Country is amazing, right? So that music, it was just designed so like uniquely and interestingly, with unique sounds, special sounds, and it fits the vibe of every level. It just made everything so memorable. It's kind of like, it's like certain smells, you know, smells really trigger your nostalgia and memories and solidify it. And I think a soundtrack definitely does that for video games too, but it's obviously easier maybe starting with rhythm games and then moving down the list, like stuff like racing games, super easy. Just slap in some like, you know, rock or whatever, Rise Against, right? Absolutely. Some My Chemical Romance, I don't know, just something a little bit upbeat, punky. Sure, throw it in there. You go down a little bit more, you can put metal and maybe in some like first-person shooters or some chugging guitars, you know, Battlefield actually kind of stuffed into like dubstep a little bit, actually. Really producing things to be a little bit crunchier, gained up, and with a little bit chopped up beat. Sure, absolutely, you can kind of play around and mess around with games like that are action-based, but it gets a little bit weirder when the pace becomes a little bit more fragmented, where it's not just tight levels like in Mega Man. When you have games more probably like Super Metroid or Metroidvanias or open world games or especially massively multiplayer RPGs, this is what, you know, you go down the tier list of how easy it is to make songs match gameplay, rhythm games, and then at the other end, I think that might be MMOs. That's the absolutely most awkward to actually produce. The reason being is obviously you want to, as best you can, match what's happening on the screen, and so MMOs have such a breadth of different types of gameplay where you can just be running through a field, or you could be, I don't know, maybe chaining together like a whole bunch of different mobs. Maybe you're flash farming, maybe you're fighting a dynamic event or a giant boss came and attacked you, but it's never just, okay, this is a dangerous encounter, or just a encounter in general. It's not just battle music, which is sadly the game that I'm going to actually talk about about, which I know is going to be on the best music list, actually early game is really, it kind of sounds really bad, is Final Fantasy XIV, where they just have generic battle music that really awkwardly crossfades from just the kind of slow-paced sort of background music, which actually, you know, in the first zone sounds so similar, almost identical to songs that I myself have actually personally made. Yeah, so you have that type of vibe, that type of music that actually just plays as you're kind of running around, but then, like, whenever you get into a combat encounter, which is just any, you know, it could be a big boss kind of thing, it could be a Fate sort of, it could, I don't know, it could just be like a little man, it could be a little squirrel, it just plays this, like, really kind of boring generic battle music, and it's no, like, Final Fantasy 7 or 8 or 9, or a kind of mainstay Final Fantasy music. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's mostly ripped from those games, but it just kind of feels a little flatter. But I know that when you get into dungeons and certain raid encounters and end game and story encounters, that's when the music really picks up and it gets into that, you know, that score-ish setting. But again, that's what I'm talking about, is when you're actually in the MMO space, when you're playing in the MMO, that's when it's normally really bad. Most of the time, most MMOs, the music is really bad. And one game that I think does it very well, it actually kind of produces itself just like a racing game would or a sports game would, except with its own unique music that also is themed with the different areas. So it's kind of a mix between generic MMO music and then its own thing, and like sports stuff. That's RuneScape. Dude, RuneScape music slaps, and you can pick and choose which music you want playing. It's unique, it sounds like nothing else on this planet, goddamn, and honestly, like, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be number 2 or number 1, like, just flat out spoiling the best music in MMO, but because it's how you can choose to listen to it. So yeah, you walk into a new city, it'll play that city's music. I think the crossfade is pretty forgiving, and then also in general, the gameplay, just in general, overall, the pace of everything kind of is fitting and matching for the music as well. No matter what song you're actually picking and playing, it all just kind of works. Of course, you know, that falls apart when you play games like Elder Scrolls Online or Guild Wars 2 or World of Warcraft, where it's like really action-paced and you can go from story moments or even like cinematic stuff, open world stuff. And I think overall, yeah, no, Guild Wars 2 has some amazing bangers. Obviously, World of Warcraft is legendary, and Elder Scrolls Online really ain't bad, even though it's really generic. There actually have been some notes in it that I'm like, okay, that's actually better than what I've heard in Skyrim and Oblivion. Okay, no, Elder Scrolls Online's pretty okay. It's just, you know, you have the peak of the music, and you have moments in these games that are kind of curated basically for the music, or the music is made specifically for that encounter. But just in general, moving through spaces, you know, how the music fades in and out, battle music, stuff like that. I do think that MMOs, just in general, they haven't had the technology that we've seen in Battlefield. They haven't had the technology that we've seen actually already, except for RuneScape, like we've already seen in sports games and stuff like that, how they treat music. It just really feels, and it's not just audio in general, like a lot of stuff in MMOs is just really just thrown to the side. But no, I do think that music is very secondary to the gameplay experience compared to most other things inside of this genre. It really feels like, all right, we just need some generic fantasy sounding RPG bullshit, just kind of play that. You know, we have a soft version of it for the roaming, we have a hardcore version, maybe, if you know, if a battle starts, and that's if you're lucky. But in a lot of games, it's like you have just generic battle music that'll just cut through, totally dissonant, different key and fucking different rhythm, different everything. But you know, really, what MMOs should do, even though a lot of people complain that I don't give constructive criticism, well, here we go. Even though this is not technically constructive criticism, I am going to give a solution, even though nobody's really going to do this. But what you should do, you know, if you want to match the level of AAA gaming that you actually see in standard action RPGs, or if you want to really elevate the roleplay experience, then you should have a unique battle theme based on each individual zone. If you're going to have a themed song for every zone, you should have a calm version of the long played song that loops through, calm version. Maybe even for different areas of the same zone, you have actually different layers of the music that plays. I actually saw this in Genshin Impact. I don't know if you guys know this, but Genshin Impact, fucking amazing music. If there was an MMO that had the same quality of audio and sound engineering and production and just fucking goodness, like the composing of these songs. Oh my, I literally cried on stream playing Genshin Impact. Holy shit. Anyways, If we had an MMO with that level of detail, that'd be amazing. But yeah, you should have layers of the song, maybe even, as you go and progress through the higher level difficulty. So you start in the zone and you have sort of a more simple melody, or almost like the easy mode of Rock Band, where some things are a little bit missing. It's a little bit calmer though. But as you get into the higher levels and, you know, of the zone, the deeper end of the zone, or you're about to exit that zone or that part of the leveling, or maybe there's like some big boss that happens to be there, then the music actually has a little bit more extra layers and things like that. And when you actually get into a counter, it doesn't switch songs or crossfade fucking songs into a generic battles music. It then adds another layer, which actually is what we see in Battlefield. As there's more and more action in the gameplay, Battlefield actually adds layers and adds sounds to the mix. And it's like, I don't know, they're really smart. Battlefield has really fucking good audio, but that's what we need inside of MMOs to breathe life into it. And actually, I'm gonna use the word audio more because it's not just music, really. Play a bunch of different MMOs. Just go ahead and do it. You know, that's only going to take you like 10 years. So anyways, I've done it for you, so I'm going to tell you. I've played all these different MMOs, and basically they're quiet. You don't really hear characters talk or yell or scream. It was actually kind of revolutionary that Guild Wars 2 even did that. It's super rare that games even let you choose your voice, which, God, I really wish they would let you do that. Eastern games do, which is cool. Yeah, awesome. You can change different voices or pitch it up and down. Amazing. Need more of that. But just in general, sound effects are a little bit weaker. There's not really many voicings or voices, and the music is either drowning out everything, or it's just so nondescript and just so generic that, you know, it literally is just kind of filling in the background because they feel the need to do that because they can't actually have proper sound effects or 3D audio or all this technology that you can have in offline games or smaller, you know, kept games, I guess, like esport titles, MOBAs, or especially like Overwatch or first-person competitive games like Apex, right? So you can have 3D audio and really special like systems in place in those games, but I guess you just can't do that in MMOs, or people just don't care to do that. But I'm just saying that we need to take a little bit more care with not just making singular or literal singles that can be published and pushed because it's in a cinematic or it's at a specific dungeon, even though that kind of has gone viral with Final Fantasy XIV. I think we need to take more care into literally how we produce the music for the gameplay itself, which has always been a core in game design. That's literally one of the first, like in the first months of me in game design school at Full Sail University, that's what we learned, you know, like the visuals, the audio, all that together with the game mechanics. That is the game. It's a video game. All this together is the experience, and it really fucking matters. And I would even dare say, in a genre where it is done the worst and the least often, well, at least in terms of production, I think that it's actually the most important in MMOs, that we should have a vibe. It should be more important. I think a lot of our best magical, most best, coolest memories in like World of Warcraft or RuneScape or Guild Wars 2 is when a certain song plays and it just clicks in your memory. It makes it nostalgic forever. And maybe a certain event was happening and that song was playing and it just all swells together. It makes your heart beat. You're reeling in the feeling of falling in love with this game, with what this game can offer you. And the music absolutely helped you kind of carry that moral of whatever the fuck you were doing, right? So I think that obviously it would be better if the music was better. That's what I could say. I wish it was done real good like, but I wish I could be a little bit more eloquent. So I am going to be analyzing a lot of these different MMOs. I'm going to rank them, which ones are best, just overall in terms of sound design and songs, but I will definitely be elaborating a little bit more. Maybe I will revisit this video as a proper essay when it comes to making music in an MMO. Maybe I myself can make music, so what the fuck. I'll give you guys literal exact examples of music that I think would really make sense in an MMO, like, you know, from the different phases, the different battles, encounters, and things that could actually happen. Or maybe even using certain abilities could even interact with the songs that are playing. I really don't see why we can't have those things. Other games do it. And I think MMOs, because they are so quiet, because there's actually so much, and actually let's end the video on this one. This is a big example. There is so much information that is just noisy and confusing on screen visually for MMOs that I really do think that we need maybe some better audio cues, and I do think that you can actually implement music to help that out. You know, like some games, the music changes if you have low health. Things like that, just subtle little variants in music can change the mood, and that can actually count as a mechanic, as literal video game information. This happens in, again, Battlefield. Subtle different types of sound effects and voicings actually happen in Overwatch. It's really famous for its attention to detail with the audio in that game, such as different characters yelling out, "Hey, there's a sniper. Hey, behind you. Hey, I'm getting butt fucked right now. Come save me. Stuff and things like that we don't have. So just in general, in terms of audio as a whole, MMOs are the bottom of the fucking barrel. But I think also in terms of music, it's so easy to glorify it because, you know, Guild Wars 2 has a couple of bangers, Final Fantasy 14 has a couple of bangers, World of Warcraft obviously has bangers, all of RuneScape is just a collection of bangers. But in terms of ingenuity and literally engineering the music to the gameplay, and because these are MMORPGs, these are living worlds, these are games that we progress through, that we play through, that we run through, it's a living, breathing world, this music does not feel alive. And I think that's a problem. Okay, I said a lot. That was a lot of words, but actually I thought it was pretty focused. Not exactly an essay, but you know what? There it is. Anyways, it is your turn now, keyboard warriors. Please let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. But all I can ask is, you keep the hype alive. And again, I can ask one more question. What MMO actually just has, in general, the best bangers? What's the best music? Let me know so I can make a little list of like 20, and then I'll listen to all of them and give you a top 10. I think it'll be fun. Much love, guys. Try to subscribe and like, and I don't know, share this video if you with some friends, maybe. Fuck it, whatever. That's it. Outro out. See you in the next one.